Okay, ladies and gents, boys and girls, what is up? Wednesday, January the 11th, 2023. What's going on? As you see, we are not in the studio. We are live on location. Carolina Cigars, Hilton Head Island. We're in here with the boys. What's going on, boys? Appreciate y'all being here. Having a fantastic time. We are live noon to tune today. We got a lot to discuss, a lot to chat about. Of course, the big news late last night, Spencer Rattler, Tennessee and Clem Sucks' daddy, is officially back. He is officially back, returning for the 2023 season. Juice is back. Rat is back. Gamecocks men's basketball gets a big dub. It is a great day to have a day, truly. I see Chase Floyd, Cameron Madison, Justin Bryant, Austin, Gene, Stephen Borwell Jr., Babes and Waves, Gad, Stephanie Lee, John Edward, Jeff Gullidge, Cody Gaskins. My guy Tuck in here. What's up, Rip? Todd Smith, Brendan. We got the whole gang. We got the whole gang in here. Also, those who are in the Big Cock Club Discord, head over to the TDC Questions channel. The TDC Questions channel, be sure your questions are answered there. Again, appreciate you all tuning in. We are taking your questions, your comments, your calls as well. 843-790-3377. Let me make sure. Yep, the phone lines are indeed open, and get them in now, because at 12:45 we've got Mark Ryan joining the show. Thank you, sir. We got the Cat Pack. We got the Clem Sucks Tennessee, your daddy's backpack. We're feeling good here on this Wednesday. Again, we got Mark Ryan, 12:45. We got JC Sherbert, 1:15. So, again, what that means is you've got a limited amount of time to get your questions, comments, and calls in. So be sure. I want to hear you guys' reaction. How you feeling? And, of course, what that means is now tomorrow we will drop the podcast with our way too early predictions for the 2023 football season. Very, very excited. Obviously, as you can imagine, we've already been on with JC Sherbert and Phil Mullinax this morning inside the Gamecocks. 11:30 went on there, talked about everything. Today is absolutely electric. We're in beautiful Hilton Head Island, South Carolina. Like I said, at Carolina Cigars, you see the logo. You see us on location. It's been a while. I think it was early November last time we were here. It was actually the week of the Florida game. It was the week of the Florida game we were in here. And we all know what happened that weekend, but we also saw what happened the rest of the season. So, anyways, guys, appreciate you all tuning in. Really excited. Of course, as always, TDC brought to you by our friends over at Prize Picks. Go download the Prize Picks app or go to prizepicks.com. You can play college sports, pro sports. It's all prop plays, of course, and so many fans and listeners of our show have made tons of money with our friends at Prize Picks. Use the promo code TSUS at sign up. You're going to receive a 100% deposit match up to $100. And, of course, today's show is also brought to you by our friends over at Carolina Cigars. Head over to their Instagram. Yes, head over to their Instagram. Be sure to get your cigars. They'll ship anywhere nationwide super fast. Dude, I had people that ordered cigars, and I swear they had them a day later. I don't know how y'all got them out so quick, shipped them so fast. Everything's just better on Hilton Head. It just happened. I don't know. Anyways, be sure to go check them out. What's the number again? It's 843-681. What is it? 86. Yeah, 8600. There you go. It's on the Instagram page, Carolina_cigars. That's Carolina_cigars on Instagram. So, anyways, guys, taking your questions, comments, calls. Let's hear it. What's your overall reaction? Again, we got the Cat Pack. We got the Spencer Rattler's backpack. We got the Tennessee Clem Sucks, your daddy's returning pack. Whatever you want to label this pack. The Kentucky is actually a football school, but not really, because we beat them in football too pack. Whatever you want to label this. Whatever you're feeling, whatever you want to label this. The feels good to be good pack. The we're in the low country pack. I don't know. Whatever. So, anyways, like I said, Mark Ryan, 12:45, JC Sherbert, 1:15. We got electric conversation today. Also, I'll say this. If you thought we did big things on the merchandise side of the business last year, that was nothing. The stuff we are working on right now, the Beamer Rattler 2023 merch, it is coming. We have other merchandise that is coming with Spencer Rattler. We got some other things in the works. I'm very excited. You see right here, I've got the TSUS Jocelyn collab shirt on right here. So really excited. Appreciate her. We're going to be working together more in the future. Yeah, feels good to be good, man. What a day. What a day, and what big news the Gamecocks got last night is Spencer Rattler will indeed return for the 2023 football season. I don't feel like I really have to express to you guys why that's such a big deal, but inevitably now the decisions of Spencer Rattler and Juice Wells, I mean, it obviously changes the entire outlook of the 2023 season. You know, I think without those guys, you were looking at realistically maybe a fringe bowl team. And now all of a sudden the Gamecocks overnight have become maybe, just maybe, a dark horse to win the SEC East. I know Georgia just won the national championship. I get that. But you got to replace Stetson Bennett. They're going to lose a lot of talented players. You've now got Spencer Rattler and Juice back. You go to Athens week 3. Maybe, just maybe College game day. You got to take care of UNC in week 1 in Charlotte first, but that could be one of the better games of the college football season. So I need somebody to call in so there's not just silence whenever I'm hitting the cigar. Shullen asks, will Luke Doty ever start for Carolina? At the quarterback position? I doubt it. I don't know. I don't know. We'll see what Luke Doty does. I think he's obviously got a decision to make, and maybe he's just a guy that's just a Gamecock through and through. But, yeah, I won't blame him either way. I mean, listen, I'd love to have him back. We'd all love to see him back. I don't think anybody's ever going to frown upon someone choosing to be a Gamecock and wear the garnet and black. But realistically, I think his prospects at the quarterback position, it's not going to happen this year. I mean, it's not going to happen this year, no doubt. So, really excited though, guys. I mean, you go ahead, you start looking ahead, and now we can look ahead, right? The podcast that'll drop tomorrow, like I mentioned earlier, will be our way too early predictions, and we do that every single year. But it's like I told you guys, I just refuse to drop those until we had official word of what those two guys were doing in Spencer Rattler and Juice Wells. So I think one of the most dynamic connections in the SEC this upcoming season. I mean, I think Spencer Rattler, I understand he was very inconsistent in 2022. Let's acknowledge that. He was not great. But I think if if Dowell Loggins and Shane Beamer can stick to the offensive game plan that they made it abundantly clear they wanted to have this upcoming season, I think we're in good shape. Let's jump to the phone lines here.
To accept.
What's up, T-Man? How are you?
Good. How about you, man?
I'm doing fantastic. What's going on?
I see you're talking about the QB, about Luke Doty maybe never playing. I agree with that statement. I don't know about you. It's kind of weird to see him on the kickoff return for one play.
Mm-hmm.
Thought that was really kind of weird. What would you rate the quarterbacks, kind of 1 through 4? I mean, you got Sellers coming in, Davis, Bailey, got some talented guys.
Yeah, and every year in the preseason, I drop like a projected depth chart and all that. I mean, obviously Spencer Rattler is QB1. I'd probably go Luke Doty QB2 just because of his experience right now. I'd probably still have him at QB2. I think QB3, I mean, just based off what I know, I mean, it's hard to project LaNorris Sellers
right,
because he's literally never even practiced at the collegiate level, much less played. I know they like Tanner Bailey, so I'd probably put him QB3, and then I'd probably be comfortable putting Sellers QB4. But, obviously the plan is that you will not have to play anybody but Spencer Rattler unless it's in, mop-up duty or cleanup duty. And I will say this compared to 2022, where we hardly saw any backups. I'd love to see some of the backups get some action, right? I mean, I'd love for us to be in a position where we're up by 3 or 4 touchdowns. I mean, we'd all love to be at that point. We're up by 3 or 4 touchdowns, and some of these young guys are able to get experience while also conserving the red shirt. But, I mean, listen, man, the quarterback position is in very good hands for years to come. Now, I don't think it's realistic to expect that all of those guys will stay. Dante Reno made it clear to Mike Uva at Gamecock Central last night that he will stick in the 2024 class. So, the quarterback room's crowded, and it's not like every other position or most positions on the field where a bunch of guys rotate in and you need 3-4 guys because they're all going to play. Only one guy's going to play. So I will be curious to see who hits the portal. If anyone does, I'm not insinuating anyone should, but I think it's probably naive to think nobody will. So, and if they do, listen, you wish them the absolute best. And these guys come to college to play. They don't come to college to sit the bench or be depth guys. So, but I'd probably still put Luke Doty QB2 right now because, listen, if Spencer Rattler would have made the decision to depart, I think that Luke Doty would have been the front runner to be your starter. So where does LaNorris Sellers factor in? We shall see. But I guess the beautiful thing about it is that LaNorris Sellers doesn't have to be thrust into game action and rushed out there before he's ready, right? It's certainly a blessing for the Gamecocks that they got a bunch of young, talented guys that are going to be able to learn behind Spencer Rattler and learn from a veteran like Spencer Rattler. So got to be excited about the future of the quarterback room for sure.
I think Sellers gets a lot of playing time early. I think he'll be used as joiner. I mean, I'd love to see him used as like a joiner type early. I know
Well, you say that.
You know, I know we're in January talking.
Yeah, you say that, and I'm fine with that. I'm fine with that. I just want to see him actually used at the quarterback spot. So that's my big.
Yeah, to throw the ball.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
exactly. So
yeah,
for sure.
But thanks for taking my call, man. It was quite the night last night for the Gamecocks.
For sure, I appreciate it, T-Man. Thank you so much. Great stuff. Let me, guys, I'm gonna turn this down and reconnect. I accidentally bumped a cord here, so fantastic stuff. There we go. Perfect. I don't know if y'all heard that or it was just on my end, but if you bump this cord here, okay, there we go. Perfect. All madness breaks loose. We got a lot of muffling in the background, stuff like that. We're good now. All right, cool. That was my fault. That wasn't even the hackers. That was just my fault. So, anyways, great stuff from T-Man. Yeah, I mean, again, we've got plenty of depth at the quarterback position. We're in a great spot, but I would expect one, if not two, to probably transfer. And you got Dante Reno coming in next year. So I think it's unrealistic to think we're all going to stay. But, yeah, and I apologize, guys. It says Greg Bedinger says that he heard the sound there on you guys' end. I apologize if you heard a little static or what have you. Anyways, good stuff from T-Man. Appreciate the question. Again, 12:45, we got Mark Ryan. 1:15, we got J.C. Sherbert. Of course, as you can see, we are not in the studio. We are on site. Carolina Cigars, Hilton Head Island. And, of course, tonight is our event at Carolina Cigars, 7 o'clock. And what a great event. We're just going to be hanging out smoking cigars. Just boys being boys, you know what I mean? Women can come too, though. Everybody's welcome. Everybody's welcome to come smoke a stogie and talk Gamecocks. And, you know, I was talking about this earlier in the week. One of the things because we have different events, we have watch parties, and we have some other stuff that gets pretty crazy, pretty wild. But I will say, and I'm sure that the Carolina Cigars guys would welcome if 100 people showed up. Might be kind of crazy. But I think one of the things I love about the events here is that it is a very intimate setting. It's just a cool thing. It's different. You know what I mean? So, appreciate those that came out in early November and definitely would love to see them back out here. And any of our other low country Gamecocks, you guys are around. It was a beautiful morning this morning in Hilton Head. Was able to go on the beach and watch the sunrise. And I mean, it's a beautiful day here. And of course, no TDC tomorrow because we're going to be playing some golf. So I can tell you, I went to the driving range last week and it was pretty bad. So I'm hoping that side of me doesn't show up. So I find out the less that I play, the better I do. I swear. It's like I don't think about it when I'm not playing. And I had a guy tell me one time I was getting frustrated. And he made a great point. He's like, why you get mad? You don't practice. And I was like, that's a good point. Why do I get mad? I don't practice. I shouldn't be good. Anything good that happens should probably be a surprise, but that's not normally how we're wired. So anyways, looking forward to it. Going to be a great week here in the Low Country. And guys, again, appreciate y'all tuning in. I'm glad we can do this remotely from a fantastic venue like Carolina Cigars. All right, let's jump back to the phone lines here.
Will from Dirty Myrtle.
To accept, press 1.
Here we go.
To send a voice.
Speaking of the coast of South Carolina, Will from Dirty Myrtle. What's going on, man?
What's up, my guy? I see you over there flexing on with the gold wristwatch.
The watch, the ring. We got the I don't know if you see the kicks also with the bubblegum bottoms here. Yeah, there's nothing. Bro, there's just nothing like a nice pair of ones, dude. I love J's of all kinds, but ones just hit different, man. Ones hit different. I don't know.
Yeah, I love the ones too, but I got size 14, so they look like ski boats on me, but I like them too.
Yeah.
But anyway, what a great night, man. I mean, Rat's back. We beat Kentucky. I mean, you know, you waking up this morning, it feels pretty good, you know?
It does indeed, man. No, it does indeed. It's huge. It's huge. I mean, obviously it's, you know, our good friend Brad Crawford, he made the point a couple of weeks ago that, you know, we're talking recruiting and transfer portal and keeping Spencer Rattler around was the biggest priority, right, for the Gamecocks this offseason. So, yeah, to have him return, man, I mean, it just changes the complete outlook of your season and obviously Juice as well accompanying him. And, you know, it's for all of our complaints over the last couple of weeks about the portal and NIL specifically, this is when it works out well. This is when it works out in your favor. You know what I mean? Yeah, this is when it works out well. So excited for it. And obviously, you know, we'll start talking way too early predictions tomorrow and maybe even today and throughout the rest of the week. And hey, man, football is 24/7, 365. It don't matter. It doesn't matter what's going on, man. SEC football, Gamecocks football, it never stops. And I mean, certainly when you get news like we got last night, it's incredible. So just happy for Gamecock Nation. Excited for us all. You know, I thought it was impeccable timing by the University of South Carolina that Spencer Rattler announces his return. I don't even think 5 minutes later they say, "Get your tickets now for the 2023." I'm like, that's beautiful. That's something I would do. So, hey, from one businessman to another, very, very smart, very wise. And I mean, dude, realistically though, think about it. This will probably be this upcoming year. You know, I don't want to over exaggerate, but they'll probably set a record for season tickets. I would not be surprised. Would not getting a ticket. It'll be a tough ticket this year to go to a South Carolina football game.
And you know, in 5 minutes within that announcement, you were already drawing up your 23 merch for Rattler Beamer.
Oh yeah, oh yeah,
getting that ready quickly.
Yeah. I didn't want to run it back with like the exact same design, obviously, because I just felt like that'd be lazy, and we need something fresh, we need something new. But yeah, we've been in contact with Spencer Rattler's team, and we're working directly with them. And yeah, I'm excited. I mean, listen, it's great for the business, but also it's great for Rattler. You know, people have opinions on how I feel about NIL. I like it. I love working directly with the players and having an opportunity to put money in their pocket and in turn really just show appreciation. Thank you for being a Gamecock, right? But also for the fans, man. And that's what it's about. It's about the people. And and that's what I told his team was that, listen, the value add that brought to this fan base and so many people that were rocking the Beamer Rattler merchandise. I mean, it's just a no-brainer. You know what I mean? It's a no-brainer. So, I'm excited for it. I know that, the I don't want to make light of it, but the thousands that I'll be putting in his pocket probably pales in comparison to, I'm not the Mercedes-Benz dealership or anything, but, we're doing what we can. So it's awesome, man. I'm excited for us all. And, hey, last year I was trying to keep expectations realistic and set realistic expectations and talk everybody off of 10-2. And you know what, man, just go wild with it. Who cares? We're going 15-0. Just go crazy. Why not?
Natty.
That's it.
But yeah, man, I mean, we finished the year ranked, which is no small accomplishment for us to not just, have a good little run, but to really finish in the top 25. And I think we'll be probably in the top 25 preseason next year. So
you're talking about this fall. You're talking about this fall.
Right.
Oh God.
Right. I'm saying we just finished top. We finished 23rd, and then going ahead, we're going to probably come in the preseason ranked for the first time in probably 4 years. So
yeah.
I
mean, the Gamecocks are a preseason top 25 team, no doubt we are. Yeah. And that's
I don't think they would have been without Rattler, though. Honestly, I don't think if he wouldn't have returned, we probably wouldn't have been.
No, I don't think we would have either. Yes, I mean, that's why I say, man. I mean, if you can, I posted a clip about it this morning, but I think UNC is most definitely the tone setter, right? If you're going to achieve anything we're talking about, I think you need to beat them, and that should be a great game. And I think a lot of offense in that one, but. I tell you, and they've been
QB matchup.
Yeah, great QB matchup with Rattler and Mays, and UNC's been in some preseason top 25s. Obviously, a team that went to the ACC championship. But if you can beat them, I mean, you might be looking at Carolina. You beat them, you're going to beat Furman week 2. You might be looking at a top 15 South Carolina going on the road to take on the number 1 ranked Georgia Bulldogs. So I mean, it's that
maybe a college game day.
I get chills just saying that, man. Yeah, maybe a college game day. I don't know why they wouldn't go there and. You just might have the advantage at quarterback depending on what their situation looks like. So, I'm trying to talk myself off of the ledge, if you will, of setting crazy expectations. But, I think when you look at what you did,
we got a lot of holes to fill, though.
We do. Yeah, we do.
I mean,
but
there's some holes to fill for sure.
Yeah,
but it's definitely the biggest piece.
Yeah,
back, so.
Yeah, we do. But yeah, like you say, when you have that guy under center, because if you don't have that guy, you could have the rest of the thing figured out, but it's forget it. But
and I'm sure Beamer's on it in the portal. I'm sure he's gonna figure some stuff out and plug up some holes for us. There's plenty of time. But yeah, it's just a great time right now, man. Just gonna be a good off season, a lot of good banter, a lot of stuff to get hyped about. And
yes, from the content side, Spencer Rattler just did me a huge favor. So I'll say that because last preseason was fun. This one's about to be electric. So Can't wait.
Yeah, man, and congrats to you, bro. I mean, I've been following you for close to 3 years now, and it's been an ascend, man. I mean, and last year it really kind of took off for you, so hopefully even better this year, man. And
yeah, I mean,
you see your merch everywhere.
Yeah,
you know?
I'll put it this way. I've lived through and I built my business really on the back of the Will Muschamp era. And now I'm thriving and having success in the Shane Beamer, Spencer Rattler era. I prefer the Shane Beamer, Spencer Rattler era. Put it that way. For us all.
For sure. But yeah, I mean, you know, I remember going to the games just in 2021 and being like the only person with Beamer ball merch on. And then going last year and you see it everywhere, man, you know, so it's cool, man. But anyway, I'll hop off of here, bro. I'll keep listening later.
Hey, I appreciate you, man. Thank you so much for the call. And Will, it's always a pleasure to hear from you, man. And I appreciate Will, obviously, also rocking with the merch and the business as a whole, man. And I cannot say thank you enough. Somebody commented, the guys in here will get a laugh. Somebody commented and said I sounded smarter with a cigar in my hand in the cigar lounge. So maybe there's something to that. I need to just do every show with a stogie and be in the absolutely. So guys, 843-790-3377. Again, great day to have a day. How about basketball? I know we're all excited for football, but how about the basketball team? My goodness, 19.5-point underdogs. And you can say whatever you want. Listen, Kentucky's a mess. Calipari might be on the way out. But for South Carolina to, more importantly, rebound from that abysmal performance on Saturday. I mean, I thought the stat that was crazy, you scored, 42 total points against Tennessee. You had 42 points at halftime against Kentucky. Make it make sense. All right, let's jump back to the phone lines here.
Robbie Davis, Zaxby's Hall of Famer.
Robbie, what's going on, my dude? How are you?
I'm doing good. How's that stogie?
This stogie's incredible. It's a blue-green Grand Habano. Yeah, it's fantastic. I've smoked this one once before. I can tell you this. I ain't never had a bad stick from Carolina Cigars. They don't believe in that. They don't believe in smoking duds. I can tell you that right now. They believe in smoking good cigars. I can assure you. Because I'll tell you this, and I'm not going to say any names, but and I probably don't even remember the name, but I've been to some cigar lounges or places where you get cigars, and I've gotten some bad stick. I got a house cigar one time for like $3 that I was like, I'm smoking dirt. It's like literally dirt. So not the case. Not the case here, my friend. Cardboard. A cardboard cigar. Yeah.
But man, what a game last night. Holy crap. I did not see that coming. Of course I picked Kentucky to whip our ass.
Yeah, and I mean we all did. I mean I you know, what's funny, like nobody even gave me crap because it's like who would have. Hey, I will say this though. I'm not trying to pat myself on the back, but I will. I picked us to lose by 15, but I picked a Gamecocks cover. So if you would have just taken my play and bet plus 19.5, you would have won. I would like to mention that. Very few. I had people commenting like, we're not even going to stay within 40. So I just want to give myself that credit.
It was a great day. The men's basketball team won. Rattler's coming back. Juice is coming back. It's been a great couple of hours, man.
Yeah, last 24, I'd say last 72 hours with Juice's announcement. I mean, just incredible, man. Incredible. And, you know, I'll be honest. Hey, I was wrong. I'll go on record and say I was wrong. You know, I think early last week when Juice posted that picture of the NFL, the stage or whatever, and he put it on his Instagram story, I thought they were gone. I really did. I mean, I was unsure throughout the entire process. I thought there were a lot of reasons that pointed to especially why Rattler would return when you factor in NIL and stuff like that. But, you know, when as it drug out, you know, I thought that maybe those guys had made the decision to go. And, you know, I'm very, very happy to be wrong and that they are returning. And, I mean, obviously we all got what we were hoping for. So, yeah, how could you not be excited, man?
This will be the second year that we've had, that I know of, where we already know who the starting QB is. No worries.
Yeah, it's one less thing to worry about, right? I mean, this team obviously still has holes and still has issues, right? I mean, it's a line of scrimmage league, and somebody's got to protect Spencer Rattler. Somebody's got to give him time to throw.
Yeah.
There's, and we've got a really difficult start to the season, I would say. We've had easier starts for sure, but I mean, I'm super, super excited, and I think the sky's the limit, man. I mean, I think it's interesting, and Mark Ryan will join us here shortly, and he's a big believer and preaches on, year 3 is the year that you really find out. And well, all of a sudden now year 3 is set up to be a launching point for South Carolina. It's interesting. We talked preseason of last year that could South Carolina be this year's Arkansas, and that's inevitably what we turned out to be. By the way, was the Arkansas that we turned out to be a very similar team, the way we overachieved and how many games we won and stuff like that. Could South Carolina in 2023 be the Tennessee of 2022? Be an 11-win team, win the Orange Bowl, quarterback returns and has an even better year, and it's just one of those magical seasons. I'm just, listen, I'm not making any. I'll have way too early predictions tomorrow, which are subject to change for me. I'll lock in my official predictions in July. But I mean, I won't blame anybody for dreaming of what this season could be when you've got a guy like Rattler under center and
for sure
all the optimism and positivity, and so I'm excited.
I think our schedule for this coming year is a good one, a very good one.
Yeah, it's a very fun schedule. I mean, you again, early on, you got that week 3. I mean, really week 1 coming out the gate. You've got the game against UNC, neutral site game in Charlotte. You got Georgia in Athens. You've got Mississippi State at home is an intriguing game. You've got Tennessee in Neyland first half of the season. That'll be a really interesting game. They'll have revenge on their mind. That first half of the schedule, and then you close it out with, I think, 3 or 4 straight home games. You've got Vandy at home, Kentucky at home, Clem sucks at home. You got Florida at home, hopefully to get revenge on them. So, again, there's a lot of reasons to be optimistic, man. You've only got 4 true road games this year because one of your road games is in Charlotte. You've got Mizzou and A&M on the road, Georgia on the road, and Tennessee on the road. So,
we got Tennessee on the road, and I definitely think they'll have revenge on their minds.
Yeah.
There's a lot of teams. There's just, I think our schedule works out great for us, but the real question is, are we going to be able to capitalize off of it?
That is the question, Robbie. That is the question.
With the talent that we've lost, I'm really hoping that the players that are going to play that are now, I guess, either sophomores or juniors or whatever, they take full advantage of it and don't take it for granted.
I would hope they don't take for granted playing college football. Yeah, I agree with you. But, I mean, you got to get the offensive line.
I got my Final Four. I got my playoff Final Four.
All right, let's hear your playoff, Robbie, because yesterday you had Arkansas in your playoff. You had me a little confused. Is Arkansas still in your playoff?
All right. Now, no. I fixed it. Okay. Now, this would be my Final Four.
Right. And to give the people in this room that are with me reference to why you're bringing this up, Robbie Davis said yesterday that TCU should not have been in the playoff. They should have their own playoff, which we're all still trying to figure out what he meant by that. So, anyways, go ahead. Fire away. Who's your Final Four? Who's in your playoff?
Okay. Obviously, number 1 would be Georgia. Okay, number 1 would be Georgia. 2 would have been Tennessee. 3 would have been Alabama, and 4 would have been Ohio State.
Okay, so Robbie would have had Georgia 1, Tennessee 2, Alabama 3, and Ohio State 4. All right, to hell with Michigan, to hell with TCU. I love that. I will say, though, that would be fun to watch. I mean, dude, I'm not a Josh Heupel guy, but maybe we should just go what Josh Heupel said. He said it should just be the top 4 SEC teams. That should be the playoff every year. And we got. I know my Peterson boys are Big Ten country. They're like, what are you talking about? But sorry, sucks to suck. Sucks to suck, boys. SEC. Why not? Why not? That's it.
I mean, I thought. I mean, and from now on, whenever you ask me a question like that, give me a day.
Give you a day. Okay.
Give me a day.
Robbie
to think
Davis
about
says he needs 24 hours to 24 hours to answer a difficult question of that nature. That's fine. That's fine. I got you, Robbie. I'm I don't mean to rush you off, but we got limited time
it's all
and
good.
a lot
I
of
wanted to go ahead and
people
get my
calling
call
in.
before the thing.
Yeah, no, you're good,
No
Robbie.
worries.
You're the man.
Have
You
a
got
good one, man.
You got anything you want to say? Any to heck with Clem sucks, Kentucky, anything? A lot of.
You know what? Screw the heck. To hell with them. To hell with them. Purple pants wearing bastards.
Thank you, Robbie. I appreciate that. You're the man. We'll talk soon, my guy.
All right, buddy. Have a good one.
Yeah, man. Be good. Take care. My goodness. Robbie Davis. The gift that keeps on giving. How about this transfer portal news, which, by the way, those in the Big Cock Club Discord, I know normally I'm able to scroll around. I'm sitting back. So post everything in TDC questions so I can see it. But I did see the notification on my phone. Corey Rucker is heading back to Arkansas State. How about that? And I think, does he have to sit out a year if he goes to Arkansas State? I don't think he does. I think that's probably why he's going there, and because he also started there. So interesting. The curious case of Corey Rucker and the way that all worked out, I guess, or what have you. So you wish him the best and hope he does well. And it's a shame. It's a shame because I think a lot of us had very high expectations for Mr. Rucker, but all good. Anyways, guys, 843-790-3377. Appreciate y'all tuning in again. Of course, we're on location. Carolina Cigars down in Hilton Head, down in the Low Country. Love it down here. Absolutely love it, man. Absolutely love it. I was having a debate with someone about beach or mountains, and I love the mountains. I do. I love the mountains, but I love the beach. I really do. I love the beach. Of course, Hilton Head, a spot that I grew up coming down here with my family a couple times a year, really. I will say, too, I enjoy coming down here in the off season when it's just quiet, calm, not a lot of hustle and bustle. And Hilton Head doesn't get as much of that as some others, but it's nice. It's nice coming down here when it's not quite as crazy. So anyways, guys, appreciate you all tuning in. Hunter Kelly says, sharks are at the beach. I don't like the beach. Well, Hunter, you don't have to get in the water, or even go that deep in the water. So that's why they have lifeguards, I'd assume. Did see some dolphins this morning. That was pretty cool. Went out and saw some dolphins. So just having a great time. Let's see. Brendan says, doesn't matter that he's transferring back as long as it's a second transfer for graduation. He needs a waiver. What do you think his waiver will be? Maybe he can get one. I mean, I hope he gets it. I have no reason to wish him not playing, but yeah, Bruin Nation makes a good point. Bears are in the mountains. Yeah, I actually we saw a black bear. I went to the Biltmore over the weekend. We saw a bear. It was pretty cool. Anyways, guys, appreciate y'all. What a day. Truly electric. I mean, some things are just meant to be, and I think it's meant to be that we're here at Carolina Cigars doing the show. We got the event tonight at 7 and all the events that have taken place this week with Juice Wells announcing his return. What was that, Monday, I think? And then Spencer Rattler, of course, with the big news late last night. The basketball team gets a big upset win. Feels good to be good. I mean, truly it does. Sun was shining a little brighter this morning, it felt like, and, just really excited to be chatting, conversating with you all. So, and looking forward, by the way, to hearing what J.C. Sherbert and Mark Ryan have to say. First time. This will be the first appearance, by the way, of Mark Ryan coming on our show weekly. Every single Wednesday, Mark Ryan will join us, and I know that made some waves via social media, but I'm excited. Mark brings a very unique perspective, and he's a guy that has built his career from the ground up. If you listen to him long enough, you'll figure that out. And I appreciate the banter, right? I don't bring people on this show that I I just agree with all the time, and they're yes people, and they're just gonna, have the garnet glasses, if you will, and tell me what I want to hear. I seek out conversations where maybe we're able to disagree and give each other different vantage points and different perspectives. And Mark Ryan certainly does that. He provides a great, a unique perspective. Contrary to popular opinion, Mark Ryan is not a Clemson fan. He is a Florida Gator grad. So if you want to give him crap for that, although we can't really because they kicked our ass, but excited for, I think Mark brings a little bit more of a national perspective, which is, again, why I love bringing guys like Jake Crane or Anthony Treesh of Pro Football Focus or some of these other guys. Obviously, I value the commentary and conversations we have with like J.C. Sherbert and Stephen Garcia, McGrath, and others, but really, really excited, and I love and enjoy some differing opinions and conversation. And, guys, that's why I always say the beauty's in the banter, right? The beauty's in the banter, and why move the needle when you can be the needle? That's one of my favorites as well. So looking forward to chatting with him 12:45. In the meantime, guys, we got a couple more minutes. We'll take your questions, your comments, your calls. We'll jump into a break in 3 minutes. So if nobody calls in, you guys will have to get your calls. And we'll probably have him on, I think it's going to be 20 minutes. So we'll get him off at 1:05, and then we'll probably just jump right back into another break. And then 1:15, we'll have JC on. We'll get him off about 1:45, and we'll have 15 minutes at the end of the show to take questions, comments, calls, more of what you guys have on your mind. The reaction to Spencer Rattler announcing his return, big time. It's huge. It's huge. We've talked over and over and over, and I've said that if you got a quarterback, you got a chance, and the Gamecocks have got a chance to do some big, big things this fall with Rattler under center. Let's jump back to the phone lines here.
Go, bro.
To accept.
What's going on, man? How are you?
What's going on, man? How you doing?
I'm doing fantastic. Appreciate you asking. What's up?
What's up, man? I'm just excited about Spencer Rattler being back. On Twitter, Nicholas Harbor, he tweeted about that too. Just question, if we did get him, how big impact?
Yeah, I saw Nick Harbor's response with the eyeball emojis. I mean, it's huge. I mean, it's massive. I mean, you look at just his overall ranking and rating, and that's a guy everybody wants. And it would really speak to what Shane Beamer is building and has built to this point, and the excitement around the program. And a guy, I talk a lot about these guys like Nick Harbor. They don't just want to go somewhere and win 6 games. They don't want to go win 7 games. Like, they want to compete for championships. You'll find these guys every now and then that they pick a school strictly because the coach, culture fit, and winning is secondary. And I'm not, why certain players pick certain schools. We'll never really know. But certainly, man, I think the positive trajectory and positive momentum is a very, very big deal when it comes to landing a player like a Nicholas Harbor. So, I mean, dude, it'd be massive. I mean, it would be massive if you could get him. And I think the Gamecocks have got a great shot by all accounts.
Yeah, I do too. I've seen Spencer Juice. That'll be a good combination again next year. And I see his Heisman plus like 3,000, I think, next year too. So hopefully, if he can play like he did the rest of this season against Tennessee and Clemson the rest of the year, he could have another great year, raise his draft, and all that.
Absolutely. Yeah, I think so as well. My friend, I appreciate the call. Thank you so much. We're going to jump into a quick break, but I really appreciate you calling in. Thank you so much.
All right, thank you, man.
Yeah, man, take care. Great stuff. All right, we're going to go ahead, jump into a break. We're going to get Mark Ryan on the show on the other side. Guys, appreciate you all. An electric day here on TDC. Mark Ryan is on the other side. Y'all stay tuned. You're tuned in to the Daily Crow. All right, guys, we're back. Appreciate you all tuning in again. We are live on location, Carolina Cigars in Hilton Head Island, South Carolina. And now joining the show, we've closed up the phone lines because every single Wednesday, starting today, a good friend of mine will join the show to give us his thoughts on the Gamecocks, the SEC, college football as a whole, and college sports, right? That's one of the reasons I'm excited to have him on, because he's not a one-trick pony. He talks all sports nationally for the fan upstate. You all know who I'm talking about. Mark Ryan joins us. My friend, what's going on, Mark? How are you? Again, first, let me say thank you so much for your friendship. Thank you for having me on your airwaves on a weekly basis every single Monday at 4:40 or so, and I'm looking forward to our conversations on a weekly basis, my friend. What's going on? How are you?
Man, where do I get me some pants like that, brother? I'll tell you what, man, you are doing life the right way. Happy New Year to you, Cocky, and all the Gamecocks out there, man. It is going to be a great year. And can I just open, Chris, by saying, given the quarterback situations at South Carolina and at Florida, may I please and back up some of that trash talk that I did after the Florida-South Carolina game this year. Oh, boy. I'm going to be trying to make myself scarce, man. You're going to be saying Mark is on the milk carton when we get close to that game coming around this year.
Indeed. Mark, let's start there, right? Obviously, we're going to talk the Spencer Rattler, Juice Wells news and the 2023 outlook, all that good stuff. But, for those that do not realize, of course, you're not a Clemson fan. Let's go ahead and get that out there. You're not a fan of the Tigers. You just talk about them for your show, but you're a Gator man by trade. What's the overall feeling in Gainesville right now about Billy Napier and the Gators program? And obviously, I mean, you take care of business against the Gamecocks, but when you look at how the season played out year one, I mean, I don't think Florida had an abysmal year, but as you've talked about before, the expectations are different in Florida, right? He's not going to get 6-7 years to figure it out or anything. Like, they need to start winning and start winning now. And, I don't like the Georgia Bulldogs, right? I hate Georgia. It hits different for a Gator fan when you see Georgia win back-to-back national championships. But what's the overall mood and the vibe? And, you pick up a quarterback that, I'll be honest with you, I've already forgotten his name, and I think many were surprised that they didn't get, the O'Leary kid or some bigger name, if you will. So just overall mood and feeling and thoughts on Billy Napier and his program going into year 2 of his tenure.
Yeah, Graham Mertz is the quarterback from Wisconsin that was added in the transfer portal. It sounds like a cracker. Have you had your Mertz today? It sounds like a cracker, and I'll tell you what, man, the feeling in Gainesville right now is totally unknown on Billy Napier. It's totally unknown, Chris. In reality, the program was left in a little bit of shambles when he was over. I'm not sure how much you know about this Jaden Rashada situation, Chris, but it's a disaster. I mean, think about this for a minute, Chris, and I know, like, you're more politically correct publicly about this than I am. It disgusts me as a college football historian. Florida has a 4-star commitment, Jaden Rashada, who was supposed to be signing with the school, and he has not signed with the school. Why? Because there is a holdup regarding NIL with him. There is a holdup. So he was supposed to be already on campus, signed with the school. We have now entered a phase in college football, Chris, where not only do we have free agency, but we also now have holdouts. Oh, am I going to sign with you? Am I not? Letter of intent is in. Why am I not on campus? Well, it's all because NIL stuff, NIL promises have not yet been delivered. And if the number doesn't match what the talent or his family feels like he is worth, then the services are withheld. Welcome to the era of free agency, contracts, and holdouts in college football, man. And if you'll excuse me, I'm going to go throw up off screen.
Yeah, and it's interesting, right? The last couple of weeks, we've dealt with some transfer portal NIL stuff, and it's it giveth and it taketh. And when it works out well for your school, your team, what have you, with like the Spencer Rattler thing, for example, you're like, oh, how great is NIL? How awesome is the portal? But there's a big negative side to it as well. And I think Miami's also dealing with it, and some others with players holding out and delaying their signing. And it's a known fact it's because of the NIL stuff going on behind closed doors. So it's the wild, wild west, man. It really is. I mean, it is a level of free agency in college football that when NIL was first introduced, I'm not sure we saw it coming, nor were we not prepared for it, right? I mean, we were not prepared to handle it.
No, absolutely not. And the regulations and guidelines and some sort of leadership could not happen soon enough. Last thing on this, Chris, I spoke to Forbes sports business reporter Christy Dosh, and I said, where are we in terms of having regulations and guidelines on this? And she said, Mark, the NCAA is paralyzed with fear of doing anything about it because the Ed O'Bannon lawsuit cost them $48 million in attorney fees. So they have the rules and regulations in place. And I'm not sure how many of your audience members know this, but the judge that ruled in favor of Ed O'Bannon on the lawsuit against EA Sports, it's in the game. The judge that ruled for Ed O'Bannon said that she prohibits players from endorsing things. She prohibited that. So if that was the lawsuit that led us to where we are now, why are we where we are now? And the reason is that the NCAA got so scared bleepless that when that ruling came down, they refused to enforce anything. I had a chance to speak to SEC Commissioner Greg Sankey a couple of months ago, and I said, what's up with all this tampering going on? The Jordan Birch situation, that's obviously tampering, right? Somebody offered him a bag, and months later, weeks later, he leaves. And what I was told by Greg Sankey is we need the NCAA to do their job. It is illegal to tamper. You heard about all the stuff with Drake May, right? Multiple schools offered him $5 million a year, stayed at UNC over that money. How many players would do that? It's disgusting, man. And we need an organization, we need a governing body in college football that has a spine working in conjunction with the courts to establish regulations that will be accepted and that can't be sued. It kind of makes you wonder, Chris, why the heck the NFL hasn't been sued over the fact that players can't declare until after their third year. Think about that for a minute. Adrian Peterson, way back in the day, wanted to challenge that, ended up not challenging that. Well, don't you think a court would rule that it's against antitrust rules that a kid can't go to the NFL right out of high school or after his freshman year? What is the science that says you can't do that? If there isn't science, so we are really down a slippery slope here, man. And it is, I feel for us, man. I feel for us as college football historians, because you know what it results in for you, a Gamecock fan, and your Gamecock fans, for me, a Florida fan, it results in the impossibility, Chris, of building a program, and it results in the Kentucky Wildcats of college basketball, a one-and-done situation for everybody. How do you build a program with this, man? You're thinking to yourself, oh, man, we've got, Jordan Birch coming back, Rattler coming back, right? We've got Bell coming back. Then you blink and they're all gone in a moment's notice. How do you build with that going on as the background? A year ago, Ryan Day said it would take $15 million to just re-recruit his roster. $15 million at the end of a year. So again, for most schools, how do you build a team? And if you're a group of 5 player that had a good year, Chris, you're a moron not for entering the transfer portal right now, because the Power 5 has become the big leagues and the group of 5 has been the minor league. What AA player doesn't want to go to the big leagues, right? You get paid more money in the big leagues, right? So that's where it is. We need regulations yesterday for this, man, because it's making the jobs of Shane Beamer and Billy Napier and many others an impossibility.
I mean, look at Juice Wells, right? Going from James Madison to South Carolina. I mean, like you mentioned, it'd have been kind of crazy not to take that payday. Let's move to.
By the way, most underrated player in college football. Guy is an absolute stud, a freaking star. I saw the draft grades coming back from him, 4th or 5th round. Bro, that would be the best 4th or 5th round pick in NFL draft history. I mean, you can't find a spot. You're telling me there's 32 better players in the 2nd round than Juice Wells? Can we ask Clemson about that? Clemson fans, how they feel about Juice Wells as a 4th or 5th round pick? Give me a break, man. That guy's an absolute stud.
Mark, let's move to where NIL worked out well. It's kind of like Colin Cowherd, where Colin was right, where NIL worked. And that is the Spencer Rattler situation. Your just overall thoughts, and not necessarily from the NIL side or the portal side, but just specifically the on-field side. The Gamecocks, they get their quarterback back, which you could argue we talk recruiting and everything. That was the biggest pickup of the offseason for South Carolina, was getting him to return. Juice Wells also returns. Your just immediate reaction to the fact that Spencer Rattler will once again be wearing garnet and black this fall.
That is such a massive get. And I hate even using the term get. He already was a Gamecock. I'm curious from your Gamecock listeners and fans how they feel about how long this took, Chris. To me, if you go back through our archives, we I know that Spencer Rattler declared yesterday. We declared on December 15th that he was returning. And we just read the tea leaves, Chris. We read the tea leaves. We saw the draft projections. We talked to the NFL people. We looked at the other options around there in college football. And you looked at the deals he was signing in the Columbia area in terms of NIL. And you're saying to yourself, 100% he's back. I don't know what is taking him so long. But I'll give you the scoop here that is the most obvious reason why he's back. He's a projected 4th or 5th round pick. The last 10 years, Chris, there have been 26 quarterbacks selected in the 4th or 5th round in the NFL draft. Okay? I'm going to give you the names right now. Bailey Zappi, Sam Howell, Ian Book, Jacob Eason, James Morgan, Jake from State Farm, Ryan Finley, Jarrett Stidham, Easton Stock, Kyle Loretta, Mike White, Josh Dobbs, Dak Prescott, Cardale Jones, Kevin Hogan, Bryce Petty, Brett Hundley, Logan Thomas, Tom Savage, Aaron Murray, AJ McCarron, Matt Barkley, Ryan Nassib, Tyler Wilson, and Landry Jones. I'm sorry, what? If you are Spencer Rattler, do you want to be part of that group of names? Or do you want to be a part of the group of names? A year ago, entering the 2021 season, he was the projected number 9 overall pick in the draft. Okay, Chris? Number 9 overall pick in the draft. Now he's 4th or 5th round pick. Of that list of 26 names, you have one star, Dak Prescott. You have one guy who looks like he may have a future, Mike White, of the New York Jets. And you have 24 guys who are either hanging on by a string or already kicked to the curb. You see what I'm saying? So it's like, I'm looking at this data and I'm saying to myself, why is Spencer Rattler holding this fan base hostage all this time? This is patently obvious. Only a moron would declare for the NFL draft not to, and I haven't even mentioned NIL and finances at this point, and the money that he'll be making by staying in Columbia, which is a short-term game. It was just so obvious to me from the get-go that the right move was staying at South Carolina, and that is why our show declared that he would be returning to South Carolina on December 15th. I still don't know why it took Spencer Rattler a month from that day.
Mark, let's move into what this means for the 2023 season, because what I think is so interesting, and you're someone that you believe adamantly that year 3, right, that's the year where you find out what you got. You really find out what trajectory your program's on. I think you talked about it a little bit with Florida State and the job Mike Norvell's doing and the way that he's elevated that program. So all of a sudden now, right, any of the conversation we may have had where, and I'm someone, you know this from previous experience, I try to keep expectations as realistic as possible. But you and I always speak on what's a successful season. You know, what do you need to do? And the Gamecocks hit that in year 2. Well, now you come to year 3. This is, in your mind, right, the year that Shane Beamer, the South Carolina football program, this is where you really show what you're all about. You show what trajectory the program's on. How does this change, or maybe I even should say solidify your thoughts on year 3? This kind of feels like this needs to be the launching point this fall for Shane Beamer. Do you put a win total on it already? I mean, of course, we're in the season of way too early predictions, way too early outlooks, way too early top 25s, all that good stuff. Your overall view now of South Carolina's 2023 season, because I think while you do want to keep, realistic expectations, I think to pick the Gamecocks go 15-0, right, wouldn't be realistic. But the opportunity now in year 3 of Beamer to maybe be a dark horse in the SEC East. I mean, is that too bold? Is that too aggressive? How do you view year 3 now of Shane Beamer's program.
Yeah, 100%, Chris. I'm glad you asked this. In my studies of new coaches coming into college football, you almost always get the answer in year 3. Now, in this era, what is an exception to that? An exception to that is Steve Spurrier, who really popped at South Carolina in year 6. Do you get 6 years now in today's day and age in college football to do that? Shane Beamer might. Has he built enough goodwill? If I told you today, Chris, that Shane Beamer would go 11-2, but it would take him to year 6 to do it, would you be willing to wait for that? Let me tell you this question. I said to my, I'm on a group text with a bunch of my buds from the University of Florida, and I said to them, I said, if Billy Napier got one game better a year, so last year 6-6, 2023 7-5, would that be good enough for you? And every single one of my friends said fired in year 3. If he went 6-6, 7-5, and was on pace to go 8-4 in year 3, they said he'd be fired in year 3. Now, history is different at Florida and South Carolina. Expectations are different at Florida and South Carolina. Do you believe, and I'll get back to this in a minute, but I'd love a quick answer from you. If I told you Shane Beamer is 11-2 in year 6, do you give him until year 6 to get there? Florida fans would not.
I think is rare, and you're right. It's different. It's different expectation. I mean, you're talking about a team, South Carolina, a program that's never won a national championship, never won an SEC title. So if you were able to somehow, if you had a genie and you knew for a fact that would happen, I think most would probably wait for the 11-win season because they've been so rare. And I think as long as Shane Beamer was able to keep the program afloat in the meantime, and I'm talking 6 wins or more every year, and some might call that settling for mediocrity, but I just think you have to recognize how rare an 11-win season. I mean, only one guy's done it, and it was Steve Spurrier.
The other thing is, Chris, the other thing, we are used to seeing in college football like a linear progression of star coaches. And I think with NIL and the transfer portal, that you're going to see ups and downs even amongst the good coaches, because good coaches are going to get hit with a year where they both lose a lot of players to the transfer portal and a lot of guys to the NFL. And then fan bases are going to be like, whoa, we were 10-2 last year. Why are we 7-5 this year?
Yeah.
And the coach did the best he could.
Yeah.
The coach did the best he could. He was given something that was very clearly not chicken salad and asked to make chicken salad out of it. And he struggled to do so. So now, back to the expectations for the Gamecocks. Year 1, Shane Beamer, South Carolina finished tied for 4th in the East. Year 2 of Shane Beamer, South Carolina finishes 3rd in the SEC East. Year 3 for Shane Beamer, no Hendon Hooker at Tennessee. Is not the goal incredibly clear? Is not the mark of success incredibly clear? Florida's got the island of misfit toys at quarterback. Come on, man. Come on. Okay? Cast-offs and rejects. Florida's starting the replacements at quarterback and at many other positions, Chris. The goal has got to be 9-3, 2nd place in the East, New Year's 6 game. That has got to be the goal. Now, is success a little bit different than that? What is the mark of success? I would consider it a success if he maintains the overachievement from this year. So if a regular season of 8-4, I would say would be a successful. The goal is 2nd place, 9-3, New Year's 6 game. Success is 8-4 or better, maintaining this unusual level of play for South Carolina. Will Muschamp had a 9-4 year 2, had a 7-6 year 3, couldn't do it, right? Does Shane Beamer have the staying power to maintain that level of play? I think 7-5 would be a disappointment, and I think 6-6 would be a failure. But as a true sign of how much Shane Beamer has already changed the culture, the expectation, the trajectory, realize that in year 1, 6-6 was considered a unanimous success. Gamecock fans dancing naked in the street, 6-6. Now to year 3, 6-6 would be a cataclysmic, apoplectic failure, right? So, are we in agreement? 6-6 is a failure. 7-5 is a disappointment. 8-4 is success. 9-3, 2nd place in the East. New Year's Six game is the goal. Chris, I'm Tom Cruise in the movie Jerry Maguire. I'm holding the goldfish up in the air, and I'm saying, who's coming with me?
I think you're spot on. I think you're absolutely spot on. I think when you look at the last 2 games of the regular season, I know it's not a huge sample size, but I think that what you saw, that's what Spencer Rattler, Juice Wells are capable of. And in turn, what the Gamecocks offense and the Gamecocks football team is capable of. Absolutely. And I think you look at the landscape of the East, and, Mississippi State is one of your 2 teams you draw from the West. You've got them at home as well. And I mean, obviously, RIP Mike Leach, we know the unfortunate situation they're having to endure, but it's a situation they're enduring. Again, you get them at Willie B. Of course, you got
Chris,
UNC.
They're not going to be the same.
Right.
They're not
of course. Yeah.
Same.
Of course.
Mississippi
I'm
State
trying
is
to.
not going to be the
I'm
same.
trying to tiptoe around it a little
Yeah.
bit. Yeah. But the way, specifically to your point, Mark, the East sets up. I mean, Georgia's still Georgia, but they're going to have a new quarterback. Like you said, Florida's got their own set of issues. Tennessee's got a new quarterback. Kentucky, although he's very highly rated from the portal, he's a new quarterback. And how long can Kentucky, that's my question, how long can they sustain what they've been doing under Stoops? You got to get the Missouri monkey off your back. I know the game's in Como. You have to beat Eli Drinkwitz. You have to beat Mizzou. And then Vandy's Vandy. So I think, and then.
Well, listen,
and I wanna,
what you're saying about Vandy is deeply offensive to me because I learned the hard way this year that Vandy is very much.
Good point.
Now, well,
Good point.
Vandy might be Vandy, but now Florida's Vandy as well. So we have taken a sizable step back, Chris.
Yeah, and then to your, and then lastly, and I want to, before we get you out of here, Mark, get your point on this. You got Clem Sucks at home, and all of a sudden now you're on a winning streak, or you've won your last game against the arch rival. You got them at Willie B. You've talked about Clem Sucks. Now they're coming off the loss in the Orange Bowl, which they did not look good, right? Everybody was singing Cade Klubnik's praises after the ACC title. They look anemic against Tennessee, who a defense, by the way, the Gamecocks hung up 63 on. And I know that the transitive property doesn't always apply, but you've talked a lot about how South Carolina, you feel, and the stats show it, and the on-field results show it, South Carolina's closing the gap, right? And that's the rivalry, something you talk about a lot because, of course, we're in the state of South Carolina. For a lot of people, that is the most important game of the year. Before I get you out of here, I'll let you close on this. Your overall thoughts now on the way that the rivalry is inevitably changing, right? The gap's closing in recruiting. Clem Sucks has still got some question marks. You mentioned Dabo Swinney is not as eager to attack the transfer portal the way that Shane Beamer has. Now, all of a sudden, you get them at home. If South Carolina gets their second straight win, and that's a game that I think Gamecock fans are going to be expecting to win now. Your overall thoughts on just the way that you feel like maybe the rivalry has changed and maybe even shifted at this point.
By the way, did you hear the Kirby Smart pregame speech?
I did. That was electric.
Did you hear that?
I loved it.
Can you imagine the Dabo Swinney version of that? What would that sound like, Chris? All right, man. Golly gee willikers. We're about to paddle their fannies out there. And we're going to strike down with them great vengeance and furious anger by the power of God. What would the Dabo Swinney version of that Kirby Smart speech sound like? I can't even envision it, Chris Phillips. I can't even envision it. First class for Beamer, ranked number 79, and Clemson is 6th. Second class for Beamer, ranked number 25, and Clemson was 12th. Third class, ranked number 16, and Clemson is 10. The gap has gone from 70 to 12 to 6. Okay? Objects, memo to Clemson fans. Objects in mirror are closer than they appear. Okay? Realize that and acknowledge that and adhere to that because Shane Beamer's coming. He is coming, and that win year 2 was so far. I remember doing over or unders. Is Shane Beamer ever going to beat Clemson? In over or under year 6, Shane Beamer will beat Clemson. Who had year 2? You had year 2, right?
I did.
You had year 2. The one, the few, the proud, the Marines. I mean, you were one of the only people that did it. But Chris, I have Josh Pate on my show every single week, Late Kick Josh. And I said to him, is Clemson even the favorite in the game next year at Willie B? And he said, that's a great question. He said, Mark, I'm going to have to plug this into my model, but knowing what I know about the model, let me give you a line. Clemson minus 3.5. You'll take that as a Gamecock fan, right? Like, you will take that. But I will tell you this, Chris. Yours truly. It wouldn't be me, Chris, if I wasn't calling you on the carpet for something. On December 15th, I declared that Spencer Rattler would be returning to South Carolina. A week ago, Monday, on my show, 9 days ago, you said Spencer Rattler was declaring for the NFL draft.
I did.
So, how you like me now?
Hey, I love you. I absolutely love you. Listen, yeah, I was wrong. I mean, I thought there were tons of reasons for him to stay, but I fell victim to some of the cryptic tweets on social media we saw from some different people. Juice Wells himself throwing up the NFL podium or whatever, and hey, I'm ecstatic to be wrong. Trust me, I'm ecstatic. But yeah, I think at the end of the day, man, I think there were just a lot of overwhelming reasons of why, like you mentioned, it made sense. Like I was talking this morning with the Inside the Gamecocks guys, and I mean, like you mentioned, Spencer Rattler's not a fifth, sixth, seventh rounder. Like he was. This is a guy that was projected at one point he could be a top 10 pick. So I think he realized his own value. He realized his value from the NIL scope, the NFL scope, what he means to South Carolina, and what they can achieve with his return. And I'm glad he made the decision, my friend. So big things on the horizon. Mark Ryan of the Fan Upstate. You got anything you want to close with, Mark?
Hey, congratulations, Gamecocks, on finding the right coach, on attracting good coordinators, and Shane Beamer's quest to build something, and on beating Clemson way ahead of schedule. I got another true story to tell you. I got you got a lot in our area here in the Upstate. 57% of our audience lists Clemson as their favorite team. 24% lists the Gamecocks as their favorite team. The last 19% is like a hodgepodge of different teams. Florida, Georgia, Furman among them, right? But there were a lot of Clemson fans I know, Chris, that after that game, the Clemson flag was not out in the yard anymore. Okay? Not out in the yard anymore. And I've been ribbing Gamecock fans since I moved here now 4 years ago. I'm like, look, in the Upstate, you got a bunch of Clemson fans wearing an orange and a regalia. I never see anybody wearing garnet and black, and you got a bunch of Gamecock fans hiding in plain sight. When South Carolina beat Clemson, I saw flags coming out of yards in this area. You guys did that to them well ahead of schedule. Congratulations on a hell of a freaking year, despite the fact that my Florida Gators waxed that ass. But congratulations on a hell of a year, okay? All the best in 2023 to you and your audience, and continued success to you, Chris. And man, the future's so bright in Columbia, you need shades, man. Congratulations. It's been a long time coming. You guys have earned it, and I look forward to coming back on with you.
Mark Ryan of the Fan Upstate. Mark, I'm looking forward to it. I appreciate you, my friend. Take care, and we'll talk to you next week.
Y'all have a great day. Take care.
Absolutely. That was Mark Ryan of the Fan Upstate. Fantastic stuff from my guy, Mark. Guys, hey, let's jump into a quick break. On the other side, hey, we got another guest, JC Sherbert of Inside the Gamecocks. He will join us. That's on the other side. You're tuned in to the Daily Crow. All right, guys, what's going on? Cut the ad early. We are back because back-to-back guests here on this Wednesday, January the 11th. Of course, we're live on location, Carolina Cigars, Hilton Head Island, South Carolina. Normally, we have him on Thursday, but of course, no TDC tomorrow, so we had to get his thoughts. I went on there this morning inside the Gamecocks with Phil Molnax and JC Sherbert of the Big Spur. He joins us as he does each and every single week. JC, what's going on, my friend? How you doing?
Hey, just want to check and make sure you can hear me.
Yeah, I can hear you loud and clear, my friend.
Good.
Yeah,
That's good because I had a little technical issue last week with the new setup. But yeah, good to be with you today. Had a little bump in the road, but I think I finally got everything squared away. I think the doctor needed to give me the medicine he gave me when I went to the hospital. And they didn't for whatever reason, and that didn't work. So I went back, got the old medicine, and feeling chipper and ready to roll. So ready to rock.
Yeah, JC, love to hear it, and I'll start there. First things first, it's great to see you in good spirits, good health. And, we had so many people reaching out to me and just reaching out in general about you. So, again, great to see your face and glad you're doing well. Let's go ahead and dive into it, man. What a last, 48, 72 hours or so with the big news this week on the Gamecocks football front. It's crazy. South Carolina men's basketball upsets Kentucky last night, and it's not even the lead storyline, man. Lamont Paris has got to be saying, come on, how about some love for us? But, hey, let's change it up. Let's actually start there. Let's give some love to the Courtcocks. Lamont Paris, after getting throttled, I don't even know how to describe it, throttled, though, on Saturday against Tennessee. I think the Gamecocks had 42 total points against the Volunteers. They had 42 points at halftime against Kentucky. And I know we talked about this morning, that Kentucky's got their own set of issues, right? John Calipari, and they're about ready to run him out of town. But your just overall thoughts quickly on South Carolina's big upset win, just the third all-time win at Rupp Arena, and what it maybe means for Lamont Paris, getting his first ever SEC win against Kentucky on the road. An incredible performance that I think none of us saw coming.
Yeah, I think anytime if you compete in this league in the SEC in men's basketball, any win at Rupp Arena is sweet. Any win over the Big Blue is sweet. They've been the standard bearer in the SEC for a long time, and so going up there, especially after the butt whipping they toted against Tennessee on Saturday, to turn that around in like 2 days and go in there and win. I know Kentucky's struggling. It's hard for me to care just because, hey, South Carolina was a struggling bunch too. But I think we're starting to see some light at the end of the tunnel. And if you look, Jamie Bradford pointed this on the show just now, and I guess I'll admit I haven't really scouted in advance the basketball schedule. But there's some winnable games coming up. Carolina's beaten Texas A&M 6 times in a row. They come in Saturday. Ole Miss has not won a conference game. Auburn's going to be tough, but at Florida and at Georgia, a team Carolina's beaten 11 times in a row. You don't really look at it and take a big gulp until February 4th and 7th, Arkansas at home and at Missouri back-to-back. But, there's a chance to maybe, get some momentum, win some league games, not finish 14th like everybody said. And I think, resiliency and hustle. Last night, South Carolina just simply wanted it more than Kentucky. I thought, loose balls, rebounds, offensively rebounded the ball. Kentucky didn't get a lot going on the inside like I thought they would. Josh Gray, I think, being in the lineup, Chris, helps this team. And that's nothing against Bozeman Verdonk, but I just think Josh Gray brings more to the table athletically. He's not going to play perfect basketball, but he's only going to get better. And I thought even though he didn't stuff the stat sheet, he had a lot to do with the Gamecocks' success as well. See young players like Daniel Hankins Sanford drilling a 3 in the second half. And then, the captain obvious thing is, when Gigi Jackson and Michi Johnson especially, when those guys have big games, this team can hang. And that's when this team has played its best. Chico Carter as well. He was a little quiet last night, but Gigi and Michi, it was the Gigi and Michi show. I thought they looked better coached on both sides. And I think maybe, sometimes, and I've said this a couple times today already, but I'm going to say it again. When you play a team that Rick Barnes coaches, and we've watched Rick Barnes coach from afar at Texas, we've watched him coach at Clemson, Providence. Carolina and Rick Barnes have a long history of facing each other. In fact, he'll probably tell you he grew up a South Carolina basketball fan. But when you play his teams, even when they're not overwhelmingly talented, Chris, they will defend you it's like a Frank Martin team. They're going to defend. And then when you throw in the fact that they're uber talented this year, and then Carolina has a team that's kind of feeling its way out, first SEC home game, that kind of thing, the 85-42, when you put it in that perspective, and GG getting shut out and all that good stuff, that's just kind of a lesson learned. And I think it's like, with GG specifically, it's probably like, oh, so that's what it's going to be like. All right, I need to do this and step up. Granted, Kentucky wasn't playing the type of defense Tennessee, but I don't think they're as good as Tennessee. But, those guys, I think, kind of had to go through a learning experience. And I think there'll be a lot more this year with this team. But if you really look at it, too, from December 22nd on, now the loss to East Carolina and Greenville was very disappointing. South Carolina should not lose to East Carolina in basketball, no matter what, especially at a place like the Well where they normally win. They rallied to beat a pretty good Western Kentucky team. You beat Eastern Michigan with a potential lottery pick going for 36 in a game I don't think anybody but NBA scouts watched because the Gator Bowl was going on at the time. But they won. Overtime loss at Vandy where you're competitive and had your chances. You got the bump in the road against Tennessee, but then you go win at Rupp. So, the last 5 games really, you got 3 wins over decent teams and a good Kentucky team. I mean, I don't know if they're great, but they're good. And then, an overtime loss at a place that it's tough to play. So if you look at that and just take those 5 games, you can kind of see some light at the end of the tunnel. And now we'll see what they do with it. Like I said, I'm not making any grand predictions. A&M, in fact, the fact the Gamecocks have beaten them 6 times in a row. And I know Buzz Williams is an excellent coach and a good friend of Frank Martin. So they're going to be coming in South Carolina to look for a win. And Carolina may lose. But I think that the win over Kentucky, no matter what context it's in, it's special. And then number 2, if you look at the overall last 5 for this team, you can see the improvement. That game with Tennessee, which I just think was a horrible matchup and really kind of smacked them in the face, notwithstanding.
Yeah, you look at this upcoming homestand, JC, it really truly is going to be one of those defining homestands or defining stretches of the season, I think, with starting it off with Texas A&M, like you mentioned. Some very winnable games upcoming, but on that note of Memorial Gymnasium, Vandy, that even when South Carolina's been good, that's been a house of horrors, it seems like. But for a lot of teams as well. It's just a weird place to play.
Mm-hmm.
But, incredible win last night. Let's move, JC, to the football side of things, of course, because that is the big news today. Spencer Rattler is officially back. Your just overall thoughts, man. And also you get Juice Wells, right? Let's not forget, of course, Juice was a guy I know, JC, you were high on all season long. We talked about this morning, but when the offense was struggling and we were talking about, who's not getting the football that needs to get it, you kept saying Juice Wells' name over and over and over again. And certainly he made you look very smart at season's end, but just the overall job of Shane Beamer, Dowell Loggins, and the University of South Carolina, right? We talk NIL, we talk portal, for them to keep those guys around and, of course, keep Spencer Rattler in Columbia. What a victory it is as we sit here on this Wednesday. What a win for Shane Beamer and this South Carolina football program.
Yeah, and it's just huge getting both of those guys back. I've always thought Juice was special, and he proved me right. Especially there towards the end. I mean, there were some moments where you go, yeah, that guy's really good. But and then Spencer Rattler, played really good ball. I think he played fine in the Gator Bowl. I think second half when you get one dimensional, like the Gamecocks had to. I don't care if Tom Brady's your quarterback. You're probably going to struggle against a good team like Notre Dame. But Rattler, I think, can play himself into even more financial prosperity. How does that sound? With a good year next year. Same with Juice. You're talking about one of, if not the best receivers in the SEC coming back, one of, if not the best quarterback coming back. I think from a South Carolina's expectation standpoint, you're going to look at that. And even that first game, Chris, Drake May versus Spencer Rattler. I mean, that's kind of a made for TV neutral site game all of a sudden. It's not just, here you go. You got to go to Charlotte to play North Carolina again. That game's actually going to be, one of the bigger matchups.
A top 25 matchup, probably.
No kidding. And, they'll be ready and wanting to beat the Gamecocks, and the Gamecocks will certainly be ready for them. So I and hopefully there'll be a big crowd in Charlotte for a change from South Carolina. But I think it just sets up next year tremendously. Look, you're going to there's still some needs in the portal. I do think they'll try to fill. There are question marks. You need more depth, I think, at receiver. There's a big question mark at running back, obviously. But I really think that these two, it's as big as it gets. If you'd asked me of the quote unquote big four, Lloyd, Bell, and I think I did on this show, or maybe it was another show, but I thought it was on this one. I did rank the ones that inside the program they felt like were the most likely to least likely. And Juice and Spencer were always the most likely. They're like, well, we think Lloyd's coming back. He's told us. And then, he takes off in the middle of the night, and just kind of leaves. And I think Jaheim was always kind of there, kind of didn't really trust the fact that he said he was coming back. So it played out like that. And I think, quite frankly, these are the two big ones, because I think you can, at times, you can replace a running back in his production. And I think you could obviously replace a tight end, especially one that you really didn't have an idea how to use. And he also played back. But you can replace that, but you can't replace that experience in arm talent with Spencer Rattler. And you certainly look around the roster and go, how the heck are they going to replace 63 catches for, almost 1,000 yards, 68 for almost 1,000 yards, and all those big plays. And so now they're back. They can take another step forward and have a complete season together. And I think it's going to be good for them and good for the Gamecocks, because, you've already got that thing. A lot of times on offense, what you want to be is, defensive coordinators to go, okay, what do we have to stop? What do we absolutely have to stop in this one? And you've already got that answered. You got to stop Spencer Rattler from chucking it all over the yard, getting it to Juice Wells. And 9 times out of 10, when you have that, that's that dangerous, that causes D coordinators to sweat in their sleep. That ends up opening things up for your other guys. You have a lot of big plays, and then you kind of circle back. I mean, it's very beneficial to have this sort of quote unquote battery, I guess, if you want to use a baseball term, returning to South Carolina next year.
Now, JC, I know the Jaheim Bell situation was unique, but I just wonder, like, when it comes to Marshawn Lloyd and does it, I don't know, does it almost kind of surprise you that maybe guys like that would dip out before? Because I'd have to imagine, like, you would want to play with a Spencer Rattler, Juice Wells. Like, does it kind of surprise you that guys were so eager to hit the portal without knowing what they were going to do first? Because now I'd imagine there's a lot of offensive playmakers that are going to want to come to Columbia and are going to want to play with a Spencer Rattler, who we all know what he's capable of. And if he has the type of year we think he can have, he's going to be a high draft pick or first couple of rounds. And I don't know, maybe this is, guys have their own reasons behind closed doors. I'm sure nobody regrets their decisions, but it just, I just wonder, it kind of makes me almost more surprised, I guess I should say, that like a Marshawn Lloyd would be so eager to dip out when it's like you could literally play with this guy again. But, to each their own, obviously. But I don't know. Do you get that feeling at all? Or
I don't know if Marshawn Lloyd wishes he would have waited or not. I know part of the narrative around Jordan Burch was he didn't think the team was going to be good next year. And part of that reason was he didn't think Rattler and Wells were coming back, which is kind of amazing to me because, you're their teammate. You should know more than we do about it, but I guess not. So, yeah, I mean, I look at, Jaheim, I don't know. I just think it was always sort of one of those things. And look, man, Jaheim wasn't this is not about his character or anything like that, because I don't think any of these guys have bad character. But he's a challenge. Even the last staff was like, this guy, you got to coach him really hard. to get him in the right position, to get the fundamentals down on the mental end of the game. And, if you're going to play a lot, that's what your deal is, you play a lot of different positions. You have to learn a lot of different positions, and that's a challenge for somebody, especially given how complex South Carolina's offense was. So I'm not blaming him for it. I'm just saying that, there was a lot of frustration there that I don't think just gets solved because Rattler's coming back or whatever. And, he and his folks really didn't give Dowell Loggins a chance. So they were just out. Marshawn, completely different story. I mean, it's kind of a mystery.
Yeah.
I don't know what's going on there. But I think that sometimes guys, if they want a fresh start, and you can see the ones that like legitimately do, they don't run off to Athens or wherever. They're LA, and I get it. I mean, LA is a totally different type of place. The Trojans are on their way up. I don't know where he fits in their, running back rotation or not, but obviously going out there and playing in Lincoln Riley's offense is beneficial. And for Birch, if he wants to go to Oregon, I mean, I've been to Eugene, man, and a lot of people think it's up near Portland. It's not. It's 2 hours south on I-5. I think Southwest Airlines, and if they could ever find everybody's luggage, I'm sure it'd make people feel better. I think go into Eugene now, but man, it's kind of out there. It's a very, you wouldn't think about it because everybody just thinks it's Nike University, and it is, but it's not a place like Columbia. So those guys trying to get a fresh start, moving west. I mean, that's kind of what the American spirit, the pioneer spirit, so to speak, historically. I get that, but at the same time, I'd be remiss to say that I wasn't quite surprised about Lloyd just based on what he had said. I felt something told me Birch would get in the portal, and I didn't hear it from anybody. He hadn't told anybody, but just kind of reading into some of his comments, he kind of commented like a guy that was going to the NFL. And I was like, he's not ready for the NFL. So I'd hate it. I'm not trying to say I'm like Nostradamus or anything here, but I can't say that it totally shocked me when he got in. And, South Carolina tried to keep him, but, I have a feeling they're going to probably replace him with somebody that's been more productive during their career at the SEC level anyway.
Now, JC, moving to the recruiting side of things, Spencer Rattler announces his decision. Nicholas Harbor replies to the tweet with the eyeball emojis. Can you give us any insight, any scoop? Do you think that maybe affects his decision at all? Does it put the Gamecocks in better standing to land him? Not necessarily that they needed it, but anything helps. What's the latest on Nick Harbor and South Carolina's chances to land his services? I guess that decision's coming up in less than a month?
Yeah, it's going to be an interesting decision too, because it's one of those where I think there's I think there's three narratives. I think there's narratives coming out of the national recruiting end of things to where like, oh, there's no way this 5-star kid picks South Carolina over Michigan and LSU, which is fine. I get it. Then I think there's a narrative coming out of Maryland that nobody else is out, but South Carolina is, which I don't think is true either. And then there's the truth, which is hard to pin down, right? And the Gamecocks have never felt like they were out of it. I think that, NIL with a player like him specifically, because he's probably going to be an Olympic athlete, is important, but not from the way you'd think. I don't think it's just about money. I think it's more about opportunity and things of that nature for he and his family. Academics are going to be very important. Obviously, University of Michigan has a tremendous academic reputation, but if you look at football players, South Carolina is really like second to Vandy just about every year, academic, all the academic rankings in the SEC. You got the Doty Anderson facility there. It's one of the best in the country, probably the best. So there's a lot academically that would appeal to Nick Harbor as well. So it's going to be interesting. I think, though, with him, he's now stating publicly he's going to play offense, right? He wants to play offense. So that makes him a pass catcher, ball handler, so to speak. And I think that anytime you can look and say, well, I got this quarterback who's excellent, who I can play with early, it's a good thing. Now, J.J. McCarthy's coming back to Michigan, I think. as long as Jim Harbaugh does. So we'll see. But and he's a special player too. So same with Jalen Daniels at LSU. So we'll see. I've never kind of wavered on the fact. I know South Carolina's in the thick of it. I know what they say internally about it. I know they're fired up about getting him. I know the other recruits are recruiting him, and they feel good. But you just never know. 5-star kid, top 10 player in the country, future Olympic athlete, most likely. A lot of great options. Sometimes you just lose those guys. But I do think Rattler, coming back to answer your question, long way of answering it, is Rattler will help the cause with Nick Harbor.
Now, JC, I feel like there's a bit of a responsibility from folks like you and I in regards to setting proper expectations, right, when it comes to each and every single football season. Because if you were on your message boards, right, like pumping up, hey, we're going to go 15-0 this year, you can go 8-4, and it's going to make people feel like that was somehow a disappointment, right? It's very important to have proper expectations, set realistic expectations, but it's hard not to give into what is inevitably the hype train around the 2023 football season. Now with Spencer Rattler, Juice Wells back. I mean, I made the comment late last night that I think the Gamecocks, and you and I talked about it, that all of a sudden now they've gone from fighting for a fringe bowl to maybe even being a dark horse in the SEC East. If you can take down UNC week 1, you'll beat Furman week 2. You'll be 2-0 going to Athens. Who's going to be Georgia's quarterback? We have no idea. Georgia's still Georgia, obviously, back-to-back national champions, but they've got a lot to replace. So when you now we know Spencer's back, Juice is back. There are going to be more portal additions. Nick Harbor's got a decision upcoming. Your overall thoughts now on year 3 of Shane Beamer? And I mean, I think it's one of those things that I even find myself having to reel myself in because, while 10 of the 12 games in the regular season, the offense was abysmal, was anemic. I think most people pin the blame on Marcus Satterfield, and you saw the potential and what Rattler and Wells are capable of, and they could be one of the best connections in the SEC and maybe even college football. There's still holes to plug, right? Line of scrimmage. You got to figure out your O-line. You got to stop the run better. You got to continue to improve at linebacker, and you'll have a retooled secondary. But, I mean, there's no getting around it. The expectations and the hype going into this season are going to be at an all-time high.
Yeah, and year 3 of Muschamp made me realize that, some of these season predictions, because I was like, hey, they went 6-7 and went from 3 wins to 6 wins to 9. You have Jake Bentley back. Debo's back healthy. Running backs like Dowdle and Williams were back, big offensive line. And what I didn't think about that year, I think what I just kind of thought was, Will Muschamp's the coach. They'll be fine on defense. Man, that D-line was bad from the beginning. By the end of the year, they were decimated with injuries, 7-6. But, hey, you know what? I didn't know Jake Bentley was going to have his worst game ever at Kentucky and miss all those open receivers. A&M was a 3-point game. They blew the lead in the Swamp. So there's 3 wins that they could have had that maybe, there's 10 in the regular season in that case. But, anytime you have a quarterback in this league, at the level of Spencer Rattler, you got a shot, and you got a weapon like Juice Wells. There'll be other weapons. I think South Carolina does need to shore up some spots on defense. Obviously, I think defensive tackle is going to be fine. Obviously, I think they need to add some edge or an edge. You got youth there. Linebacker getting Mokaba back is going to be gigantic. And then I think Pup Howard and maybe Jerron Willis will battle out for that other spot. You got some young players there. And then you're replacing your corners, but, Marcellus Dowell's back. O'Donnell Fortune's back. Emory Floyd's going to be a good player. Anthony Rose is going to be a hell of a player. So, the secondary you kind of feel good about. So I think the key is going to be just like any season. You got to stay healthy, right? And some of these guys have to emerge, or you have to add guys from the portal. And if you do, and you beat North Carolina in the opener, I think you go to Georgia in week 3 and you shoot your shot. The issue with the schedule, though, Chris, when it's an even number year, those years you got to play at Sanford Stadium, Neyland Stadium, Kyle Field, and then Missouri, who just so happens to have beaten Carolina 4 years in a row. So that's a challenging road slate. I think I like the home schedule quite a bit, and I certainly don't think Gamecock fans should be intimidated by trying to make the game in Charlotte a home game at all. But I think that those even numbered years, you kind of look at it and go, even in odd numbered years. because we're odd is 2023, just like in 2013. 11-2. Your 2 losses were at Neyland, House of Horrors, and Sanford. And that's kind of the way the ball bounces sometimes. Those places are tough to play, and you throw Kyle Field in there where they've never won. But, hey, there's a first time for everything, as we all saw this year. Streaks are meant to be broken, as we saw this year. So we'll see what happens. I certainly like Carolina's chances. I'm totally with you on that. To be a dark horse in the SEC East compared to a team that's just kind of like, well, maybe we can get back to the Charlotte or maybe Tampa or wherever for a bowl. I think that is a big difference in expectations with those 2 guys coming back.
Well, JC, let the countdown begin, my friend. Way too early prediction season is officially upon us.
Woo.
I'll drop mine tomorrow, and we got plenty of way too early top 25 to talk about. And again, it's going to be if you thought last year was fun, this offseason is going to be just as much fun, if not more. And SEC Media Days, how electric's that going to be? Spencer Rattler probably going to accompany Shane Beamer to Media Days. The hype, the buzz, the energy, electricity is going to be crazy.
And it's in Nashville this year, which is a heck of a lot later than Birmingham. Phil and I may go and broadcast from Radio Row, man. We're kicking that idea around, so it may be a big party.
Love that. JC Sherbert of Inside the Gamecocks, the Big Spur. JC, always a pleasure, my friend. I appreciate you being flexible, by the way, with your time. Glad we could knock it out this week, and looking forward to next week, my friend.
Awesome, man. We'll talk to you next week, Chris. Take care, bud.
Absolutely, brother. Take care. Appreciate it. JC Sherbert, Inside the Gamecocks. Guys, appreciate y'all. What an electric conversation. We're going to jump into one final break. On the other side, though, we're going to continue. We're going to take your questions, your comments, and your calls the final 10 minutes of TDC today. You're tuned in to the Daily Crow. All right, guys, we're back. Final 10 minutes or so here on the Daily Crow, taking your questions, your comments, your calls. What an electric day. What an electric day. Truly appreciate you all tuning in. Phone lines are open. Would love to hear from you for the final 10 minutes, your thoughts, your reaction to the big news. Spencer Rattler, Juice Wells, they are back. Jeremy Wardell says, what about Jordan Strawn? Yeah, he hasn't announced anything officially, but he did make a comment when Sterling Lucas, I believe, got his contract extension and basically said, like, let's run it back. So, I mean, I think he kind of gave away that he's returning. I would expect Jordan Strawn to return. But, yeah, so nothing official, but I think Jordan Strawn will indeed be back. Hunter Kelly says, I hope your predictions, us winning the East. You'll find out tomorrow, my friend. You'll find out tomorrow. I'll actually tell you, I've actually already got my predictions set, but I'm going to save it for tomorrow. We'll have plenty of content. Of course, the podcast will drop. We'll have a full graphic with my predictions and stuff like that. And these, I want to say again, these are way too early predictions. So they are subject to change. Like last year, I think I had Clemson as a loss in January of last year. I think I had Clemson as a loss and inevitably or eventually changed my prediction to a victory in that final game over the summer when I dropped my official predictions in July. So 843-790-3377. Again, guys, on location, Carolina Cigars, Hilton Head Island, South Carolina. Y'all come on out tonight. We'll be out here 7 until smoking stogies, having a good time. Really appreciate these guys having me in here, hosting me. It's a beautiful setup and truly love coming down here and would love to make this really a monthly thing if we can. It's just a nice switch up, nice vibe change, and always look forward to hanging out with the guys here. So anyways, I appreciate y'all, the love, the support. Truly, we got some special things we're cooking up behind the scenes. I've gotten a lot of questions about merch and everything. I can assure you we are working diligently to get the merchandise out, to get it produced. And I think you guys are going to be really excited for what's to come. I know you are. It's fire. If you thought what we did last year was special and was cool, the merchandise is leveling up. You see here, I've got the Made by Jocelyn collab, the R State shirts, which turned out so good. I appreciate Jocelyn. And we learned from that first experience, by the way, in regards to fulfillment and production and the demand that will inevitably come as well when we drop these shirts. So really, really excited. Let's go ahead and jump to the phone lines.
Tommy.
To accept, press.
Tommy, what's up, man? How are you?
I'm doing all right. How are you?
I'm doing fantastic. Appreciate you asking what's going on.
Yeah, I thought it was great news about Spencer Rattler coming back and Juice Wells. I think we're going to kill it next year.
Yeah, I mean, as Juice Wells said the week of the Georgia State game, right? We're just going to go out there and kill them. So I think they'll keep that mentality. It's like I was telling JC, man, I kind of almost have to like reel myself in regards to not getting overzealous or overhyped and understanding and realizing that, hey, like the Georgia Bulldogs still exist. College football is still very random, right? And for 10 of 12 games in the regular season, we struggled offensively. But I will say, if you can add one more piece at receiver and bolster the depth, if you can find a solution at running back, of course, you need to shore up your line of scrimmage. Defense, I think it's a huge year for Clayton White. This is a huge year for the defense, taking the next step, right? We all spent the entire season talking about the run defense and how much they struggle. But, when you get a guy like Spencer Rattler back and, of course, Juice Wells and what that means for your football team and your season, and I certainly wouldn't blame anybody for being ecstatic and elated and excited looking ahead to the season. And, yeah, really pumped, man. I think the trajectory of Carolina football, you couldn't ask for much better than it is right now.
Yeah, I think that Beamer will go out and find us somebody to run that rock. I bet he's working on it right now.
Yeah, and they've added some guys, Dontavius Braswell in recruiting. They've added, Mario Anderson from Newberry. Maybe he can do something for you. Lavassier Carroll returns. Juju's back. But, yeah, I think adding one more guy, adding that sort of surefire RB1 dude you can depend on to give it to 20, 25 times a game, I think would be extremely beneficial. And the portal's open for another 8 days or so. And we've, Shane Beamer's shown us he's going to be active. He's going to attack the portal. And I would expect that to be the case when it comes to the running back position. But, yeah, and certainly, again, when you bring Rattler back, I mean, who doesn't want to play with Spencer Rattler? Who doesn't want to be in this offense? I think you're going to attract some of the top talent the portal's got to offer, and even a Nicholas Harbor, right, that was throwing up the eyeball emojis under Spencer Rattler's tweet. It's when you're bringing a guy like that back, it's going to excite a lot of people, including top playmakers that could certainly help you this fall.
Yeah, I believe you're right on all that. I'll check out now. Just happy Spencer Rattler's coming back, and we got good receivers. Talk to you later.
Tommy, I appreciate you. Thanks so much for the call, my friend. Take care. Have a great rest of your day. Great stuff from Tommy on the phone lines. Again, guys, we're wide open. Next 5 minutes. You want to give us your reaction, your thoughts, and, of course, we'll be talking about this all week. Hey, no TDC tomorrow, though. We'll be on the links. Somebody said to let us know about the golf scores. If they're good, we will. If they're not, we'll pretend like it didn't happen. So, no, looking forward to it. Again, I appreciate the Carolina Cigars guys. The weather's much better this time around than when we were here early November. It was rainy. It was nasty. We've got fantastic weather today, tomorrow, and really excited to be here. And again, guys, come on out. Carolina Cigars tonight, 7:00. All my low country Gamecocks. I know we had a couple of you guys show up last time. Would love to see an even bigger crowd this time, and it'll be a great time smoking stogies and talking Gamecocks. And again, we got a lot to talk about, a lot of exciting things going down, and just really pumped. I mean, how could you not be? How could you not be? Also, again, the basketball team, what a win last night. What a win that was for Lamont Paris. You couldn't have asked for a better first SEC win. Did it in style, right? And took advantage of a Kentucky program and team that's struggling mightily, but we'll take it. We'll take it. Absolutely. Where will John Calipari end up? Who knows? Anyways, guys, 843-790-3377. Again, be sure to go follow Carolina Cigars on Instagram at Carolina_cigars. And for all your stogies, be sure to hit them up. Jeff Gullich is over under 50,000 at the spring game. Will it be another night spring game? That'd be cool. I mean, hey, listen, I will not doubt Gamecock Nation. If 50,000 is the number, I think we will hit 50,000. I think it would be very wise of the University of South Carolina to promote, to urge people to show up. And why not? Why not? You know what I mean? Why wouldn't people show up and show out? And we'll certainly be there, and it'll be a great time. And always fun to get back into Willie B. I doubt, not to dampen it, I mean, I doubt Spencer Rattler and Juice Wells will play a ton in the spring game. You might see Rattler get a drive or two, maybe 2 or 3, since it's a new offense with Dowell Loggins. But, realistically, you're not overworking your starters out there. We know what Rattler can do. We know what Juice Wells can do. And so you're not going to ask them to do too much. But either way, it's when you got those guys coming back, all of a sudden spring ball is, we're all looking forward to it. And again, college football is nonstop, 24/7, 365. And let the countdown begin, right? What do we got? 226 days, I think somebody said. So yeah, the countdown's already started. So it's a beautiful thing. And, I just recall last summer, the hype and the expectations. And, we had people picking 10-2, right, going into last season. And so I think that energy is only going to be amplified this year. And I said it last night, and I didn't stutter when I said it, that I think South Carolina, with the return of Rattler and Wells, not to say they would have been a bad football team this fall if those two didn't return, but I think you truly overnight went from, a fringe 6 or 7 win type of ball club trying to figure it out at the quarterback position to maybe, just maybe, potentially a dark horse in the SEC East, right? And you still got to go to Athens. You got to go to Neyland. You got to go to Kyle Field, as JC said earlier. But if we even see 75% of what we saw in those final 2 weeks of the 2022 regular season, I really believe the sky's the limit. I really believe the sky's the limit. And again, as I said earlier, now I think the attention and the pressure really ramps up on Clayton White and that defense to make positive strides, to take a step forward, and to hold up their end of the bargain, because the offense should be good. I'm not saying it should be elite. I'm not saying we should score 40 a game, but the offense should be good enough to win. It's now up to the defense and stopping the run. And certainly, again, the offense has got to hold up their end of the bargain, not put the defense on the field continuously over and over and over and put them in bad positions. But I think this will be a really, really big year. Hey, the pressure's on everybody. Pressure is a privilege. Pressure is a great thing. it means you have high expectations, and certainly we do. Hey, pressure's on Dowell Loggins as well to get the most, because there's no excuse, right? We've seen what these guys are capable of. We've seen what they're capable of, and the pressure will now be on Dowell Loggins and Shane Beamer to press all the buttons and to get the most out of Spencer Rattler, Juice Wells, that entire group. What a season it'll be if they can do so. Guys, we've hit 2 o'clock. Appreciate you all tuning in again. No TDC tomorrow. Come on out. Carolina Cigars tonight, 7 o'clock. We'll be here till whenever. Smoking Stogies, having a good time talking Gamecocks. Again, of course, tomorrow we're on the golf course and no live show, but the podcast will drop, and it's a big one because we're talking way too early predictions already. It's January. Hey, September the 2nd or whatever, can't get here fast enough. It's that time of year. Way too early predictions. And, of course, we'll be back in the studio on Friday taking all your questions, comments, and calls as we always do. So, guys, appreciate you all tuning in. In case you missed anything from today's show, because it was a big show, I want to say thank you to Mark Ryan and JC Sherbert for joining us. You can listen to the Daily Crow via our podcast feed that drops every single day at 3 o'clock after the fact. So, anyways, appreciate you guys tuning in. Thank you all so much. Have a great rest of your Wednesday. We will talk to you all on TDC on